Hello everyone and welcome to another lesson here with me, Anna English on English Like a Native. Have you had a haircut recently? Have you visited the hairdressers? If so, then you might be aware that there are lots of words and phrases that are very different, which you need to know when visiting the hairdressers. How do you communicate what you want to the hairdresser so that you have a good haircut or a good style when you leave the salon? So this is what I'm going to go through with you today. Now, obviously, I don't normally come live to you on a Saturday, and today is very special. Today's lesson, and we have to thank our sponsors, is being brought to you because of our sponsors today, and they are Italki. Now, you've heard me talk about Italki many times before. Italki are an online language learning provider. So if you are interested in having private lessons or even group lessons online in order to improve your English, then Italki might be for you. Now, what I particularly like about Italki is obviously it's convenient because you just need any device that can connect to the internet in order to take those lessons. But it's also very affordable. And today, if you follow the link in the description box below, you will get $10 credit once you make your first purchase. That basically is a free lesson. So you make your first purchase and you get a free lesson added onto your account. So if you are interested, then please use the link in the description box below. And do feel free to come and tell me how your experience with them was. We'd love to know. So let's get straight on in there. I've written notes as always for you. So let's have a look at these notes right now. I have to admit that I don't think, as far as I can figure out, I don't think there's a difference between a hairdresser's, a hair studio and a hair salon. I think it's just preference as to what they want to call themselves. But in the UK, you will find a hairdresser's, a hair studio, a hair salon in virtually any high street, off the high streets. I think in my local area, there are at least, that I can think of, at least 10 hairdressers in a very small area. So it's a very popular shop, a very popular salon to have in the UK is a beauty salon and a hair salon. So yes, if you need to get your hair done, then you would say, I need to go to the hairdressers. Do you know of a good hairdresser locally? I want to visit the hairdressers. So hello everyone. Wow, we've got 234 of you giving up your Saturday afternoon to join me here. Hello. It's lovely to see you all here and you're all sending your love. Fantastic. So let me know, in your country, are hairdressers quite popular? Is it a popular job? Do people visit the hairdressers often? So let's carry on with those notes. Say a quick hello to my patrons as well. I can see that some of you are with me. I'm going to go and get my face styled. I'm going to get my beard done, or I'm getting my hair done. So we often say that, I'm getting my hair done. And then we could sometimes refer to our hair once it's been done as a hairdo. Do you like my new hairdo? I don't know why we call it that. Someone's saying, what's wrong with your audio? Is anybody, tell me what trouble you're having. You should be able to hear me. Can anyone hear me? Please let me know if you can. I did check the audio and it does show me that it's coming through. Hello. Just let me know. No sound. When I'm showing the notes. Okay, I see. Okay, let me fix that. That should be sorted out now. Okay. Goodness me. Hopefully that's sorted out now. But what I was saying was there is no difference between a hairdresser's, a hair salon and a hair studio. They're all just places that you go to get your hair done for men and women. And then you have the addition of a barbershop. And a barbershop looks after your facial hair and your hair on your head. But barbershops are just for men. Okay? All right. Thank you for letting me know about the sound. Oh, there's so much technical stuff that goes on at the back end here, so sometimes I do miss things, so thank you. All right, let's get back to those notes and hopefully you'll be able to hear me this time. Okay, so who works at the hairdressers or the hair salon? Well, you'll initially meet the receptionist and then you will meet the person who will be doing your haircut. So the first person you meet is the receptionist. But the person who is doing your hair will be the hair stylist, sometimes just called a stylist, or the hairdresser. And these guys are ranked by junior or senior. And a person who cuts the man's hair, these people cut men's and women's hair. And if it's a barber, obviously a barber works in a barber shop, it's the person who cuts a man's hair. Okay? So let me just bring you back here and we'll just talk about this briefly. So yes, it's the receptionist who meets you at the front desk. Now, normally you have to book an appointment when you come and have your hair done somewhere in the UK because they're usually busy or they might not have many stylists available. Sometimes the lady or man who is on the reception will also be a hairdresser. So it might be your stylist that does meet you at the front desk, but they'll be working two jobs. Sometimes they'll be running the reception and answering the phones, and then sometimes they'll be doing hair. Now, I actually picked up a little card from hairdressers on my high street, and it says here actually the people that you can have your hair cut by are the stylist, we already know that word, the senior stylist. So if you have your hair cut by a senior stylist, that's even more expensive. £5 more expensive, in fact. You can have a premium stylist. I'm guessing they're even better than a senior because that's £49. That's £5 more expensive. The creative director, so the director of the whole store, I guess, who looks after the other stylists. And the creative director, goodness, is £56 for a haircut and a blow dry. It's a lot of money. Or you can be seen by the manager who manages the whole store. So it goes up in levels. Now, the way they name these positions will be different in every shop. But just know, stylists, they have a ranking order and it'll be different amounts to be paid depending on the level of hairdresser. If they're very experienced, you'll pay more, obviously. Or you can get a very cheap haircut from a junior stylist. Okay? So you can call them a hairdresser or a stylist. So if you cut hair for a living, you are a hairdresser or you're a hairstylist. Or if you specialise in men's hair and beards and moustaches, then you could call yourself a barber. Say, I'm a barber. Fantastic. All right, everyone happy so far? What's the difference between a hairdo and a haircut? So a hairdo refers to when your hair has been finished. Sometimes it doesn't mean that you've had your hair cut. It might be that you've changed the colour of your hair. That's still a new hairdo. Maybe you've just tied your hair up in a special way and someone might say, I like your hairdo. And you say, thank you. So hairdo is just how you've prepared or changed the hair, how it looks when you've presented it. And we generally only talk about it when it's something different. So I'd only mention someone's hairdo. If it's different to normal, I'd say, oh, I like your hairdo. Or if I've had my hair changed, I might say to someone, oh, look, I've got a new hairdo. Do you like it? But a haircut talks specifically about cutting the hair with scissors. Okay? All right. Right, so let me have a quick chat to my patrons just to make sure these guys are happy with everything that's going on. Hopefully the mic is still turned on here. Yes, you were telling me about the sound. That's sorted now. Layla says, many of my friends are hairdressers. Make sure you put an S on the end because you're talking plurally. So you're saying many of them. They are hairdressers. Okay. Now it's fine. Thank you, Eva. Rami, hello, Anna. Is it okay to eat while watching your lesson? Of course it is. Please go ahead. Would there be difference in quality if I go for a junior stylist instead of a senior stylist? In my experience, if you can have a very good junior stylist. So I would generally go with the junior. They are good enough to be cutting hair. So I'm happy to go for a junior. If you have lots of money and you don't mind spending a little extra, then you might feel more confident with a more experienced hairdresser, especially if you're doing something a bit crazy. Maybe you're going for a big colour change or a big style change. Maybe you want someone who's more confident, more experienced. But I just go for the cheap one, if I go at all. I used to cut my own hair all the time. Okay, let us carry on. So, arriving at the hairdressers. Let's have a look at these notes. Most salons require you to have an appointment. So like I said, it's very rare that you can just walk into a hairdresser's and they are available to cut your hair there and then. Normally, you have to book in advance. Once you arrive for your appointment, you will book in with the receptionist. To book in it means that you're letting them know that you're there so they can put it on the system that you've arrived and then they can make sure that you are seen to in good time. So you book in with the receptionist. They will normally take your coat and hang it up for you. Then they will put a protective cape around you and take you to your chair. Which is facing a big mirror normally. So you can just look at yourself and think, oh, I should have put makeup on today. You will then be offered a drink. Normally they say, would you like tea or coffee? They'll always have water as well. And then they offer you a magazine to read while you wait. So it depends on the place as to what kind of things they offer you or how they treat you. But generally it's the same experience in most salons. Although in the salon I go to, they do, so there's a day that I go on a Tuesday, every 8 weeks or so. I go on a Tuesday to have my hair done. And can you guess what I have done? But I go on a Tuesday, and on Tuesday they have half price. So everything is half price. And that's why I go on a Tuesday, because I'm free. I don't have to work in an office. I can go when I like. I can work around it. So I go on a Tuesday, have my hair done. It's half price. And in this particular hairdressers, they have truffles, chocolate truffles in a big bowl at the reception. So on the desk in the reception area, there's a big bowl of these chocolates. And they also have lots of herbal tea. I like herbal tea, and so they do me a pot of peppermint tea and give me some chocolates, and I like that, and that's why I continue to go to that hairdresser's, as well as the 50% discount. That's a nice discount indeed. Okay, so Layla has said she has to go now. It's midnight there. Oh goodness, I didn't realize it was so late for you. I have an important meeting on Sunday morning. Well, good luck with your meeting, and thanks for joining us even for a little while. Andreas, hello, it's nice to see you too. Esther says they don't even offer me a drink in my hairdressers. Goodness me. you should ask at least for water. Sometimes haircuts take a long time. Why is it that when I go to the hairdresser, when the hairdressers go up in ranks, they get more expensive? You're paying for experience. So it's the same in every industry, I think. You pay more to get someone who's more qualified, more experienced. And I think when it's your hair, you generally don't want someone to ruin it because it's how you look, it's important. So they offer this tiered system for you to have someone of a different level of experience if you can afford to and if you want it. Okay, so can women who specialise in men's hair still be called barbers? That's very interesting. Because I never visit the barbers, I don't really know much about it. So if anyone watching does know whether you can have female barbers, I'm sure there must be some female barbers somewhere. But yes, I'd love to know actually. So please do let us know. Answer that question for us. Oh, bless. And thank you so much. There's been a super chat come through, I think from Poland. I haven't seen your name before. I won't embarrass myself by trying to say it, but thank you so much for your super chat. You didn't leave a note, but I really appreciate your contribution. And of course, with any super chats, if you would like a copy of the notes that I have, I always send them out to anyone who sends me a super chat. So please drop me an email. My email's at the bottom of the description box below. Okay, let's carry on, shall we? So what happens after you arrive at the salon? So you've sat down, you've got your protective cape on, and the protective cape is to protect your clothes so that they don't get hair and things on them. So what happens next? Most visits will involve washing your hair. So they take you to the basin, to the sinks. They take your head back and they wash it. They normally ask you, is the temperature okay? Because you don't want to be scolded. And to be scolded is when it's too hot and it burns you. You are scolded. So you don't want to be scolded by hot water. And you don't want to be freezing cold. So they make sure the temperature is nice for you. And then they wash your hair. They will shampoo and condition your hair. And so this is shampoo, washes your hair, it cleans your hair. And conditioner, they use the product conditioner. The conditioner will condition your hair, so it makes it nice and soft and shiny and beautiful. At this point, you may be asked if you want extra treatments applied to your hair. These will come at an extra cost, so be careful. I've had it before when I'm laid back in the sink, they're washing my hair and they say, would you like a treatment with that? And I say, oh, sure, if you're going to put a treatment on my hair, make my hair even nicer, sure, go for it. And then when I get to the till at the end, they say, oh, the treatment was an extra £15. And you're like, what? I didn't realise. So be very careful. If they offer you a treatment, it will come at an extra cost. So just ask them, how much is it? And they'll happily tell you, okay? All right, let's have a quick look what you patrons are saying. Hi, Anna. Is there a name you can call a hairdresser who ruins your hair? I think it's just a bad hairdresser, to be honest. And I do have a story about a hairdresser who completely ruined my hair once, but I'll save that to the end. Yes, Andreas is right. Well done. You got there before me. Okay, so let's jump back over to those notes. So you've had your hair washed, probably, and now you're ready to have your style. But let's have a look how we actually talk about our hair. Let's go back to these notes. It's so strange being live here on a Saturday. All right, so hair. When referring to one single hair, so a strand of hair, then we use an article. For example, there is a hair in my food. Oh, I hate that. Especially if you're in a restaurant, it's really horrid. There is a hair in my food. Or something I say quite often these days is, oh no, I found a grey hair. So I'm talking about one single strand of hair. And therefore I'm saying a hair. So, yeah, kind of can't get one single strand, but you see what I mean. One hair is a hair. And we can be talking about the hair from your eyebrow, maybe your eyelash. You could think it's just a hair. If you have a moustache or a beard or body hair, a hair. Okay? Now, something that's really important, I see this mistake every time that this subject comes up. So be aware of this. Let's change this and make sure we know this rule. Be aware that the word hair is usually used without an article when it refers to all hairs on one's head in general. For example, brown hair is very common in my country. So you see, I didn't say a brown hair because I'm talking about all my hairs. So all the hair on my head, brown hair, is very common in my country. Or if you're my junior stylist and you've come into my hairdressers, I might say to you, I would like you to wash hair and sweep the floors today. So that's your job. You're going to wash hair and sweep the floors. Now, if we are referring to more than one hair, and I'm talking about a few hairs, not all your hair, but we're talking about a countable number of hairs, then it takes the plural form, and this is where people get confused. For example, he was excited to discover 4 hairs had grown on his chin. So here, I'm imagining a teenage boy who's desperate to grow a beard, and suddenly one day, he was excited to discover 4 hairs had grown on his chin. Or, you have a few stray hairs growing on the back of your neck. So I've used the plural version because we could probably count these hairs. That's why I've said a few. Maybe it's 5. A few stray hairs. So do remember that one. It's generally hair when we're talking about all our hair, but we would use hairs when it's a countable amount of hairs. Does that make sense? Hopefully I've made it clear. I don't always explain things very well, but hopefully that's okay. Okay, Tadescus, I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce your name, says, is it live? Yes, we're live right now. What are stray hairs? Good question, Amal. A stray hair is a hair that isn't with all the rest of your hair. Maybe it's just one hair on its own. For example, if I found a hair growing in the middle of my forehead, it shouldn't be there. It's stray. It's gone astray from my hairline. So we would pluck it out, probably. And everyone will find a stray hair somewhere on their body. So a hair that's growing where it probably shouldn't. And I think as we get older, we have more and more stray hairs popping up all over our bodies, don't we? Well, I do, but let's not go into that. Okay, so, Abel has made a good point. Has asked, what's the meaning of the hair of the dog? Now, if you hear the phrase, have a hair of the dog, this is a completely different meaning. It has nothing to do with actual hair. It means to drink alcohol or an alcoholic drink the morning after a heavy night. So if you've had a lot to drink, you've been drunk, and the next morning you wake up and you feel awful, someone might suggest to you to have a hair of the dog. So they say if you have an alcoholic drink today, you'll feel better straight away. I don't think it's true, and I certainly don't. I don't do hairs of the dogs, but that's what it means. Yes, stray like a stray animal, a stray hair like a stray animal. Okay, Mobian has said, what do we call the hairs on our genitals? We call them pubic hairs. Pubic hairs. Okay. You like my earrings? Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to have a quick look at what my patrons are saying, and then I'll get back to the notes. Here in Brazil, we call them pigeons. So that's a bad hairdresser, is a pigeon, because they poop on your hair. That's hilarious. We don't have a name for a bad hairdresser, but I think we should start calling them pigeons. I love it. Hi Anna, I just watched your video about important weak forms. There was interesting example sentences. I will be at work for 10 o'clock. Why do we use for? Okay, I'll answer that question later because it's unrelated to today's topic, but thank you for your question and I will come back to it at a later stage. Okay, so Notes, that's what we're going to do. There we go. Okay, it just takes a little while when I'm doing everything by myself. So let's discuss the areas of the head so that we can, and hair of course, so that we can know how to name things when we're talking to the hairdresser. So the forehead. The forehead is the front of your head above your eyebrows. So this is my forehead. So you might say, I don't want any hairs like in my forehead. I want all the hairs off my forehead. Or you might say, I want my hair to cover my forehead. Maybe you've got bad skin, or you just want your hair to kind of come across like this a bit. So you're like, I'd like the hair to come across my forehead. Okay? So I'm going to mess my hair up a lot today. But this part is your forehead. Nice and easy. Next, we have the word scalp. Now, scalp refers to the skin that covers your head, but it's not talking about the face. So skin that covers your head, basically the skin that's underneath your hair. That's your scalp. Okay? The crown. The crown is the very top of your head. Now, it's here. It's like the top bit here. Not like here, but at the back at the top. And you can usually tell on a man, particularly, the hair turns at the crown. So it grows out in all different directions at the crown. And some people have a double crown. And a double crown is where you have two swirls at the back of your head, where the hair all grows in different directions. If I was a man, then I could show you, but I can't really show you, but it's right here. I'm sure you get the point. So the next one we have is the nape. Nape. And the nape is the back of your neck. So it's the skin. Oh, sorry for the mic bang. It's here. That's the nape of the neck. Because obviously the neck could be here or here, but the nape of the neck is that bit at the back. Okay, so you could say, I would like my hair to be cut to be cut up to my nape, or I'd like it to sit on the nape of my neck. Or if you're a man, you might say, I'd like you to clean up the hair on my nape. So you might want your neck to be completely shaved so it's nice and clean and neat. Okay, so the nape would be important for you. Let's go back to those notes. We have the hairline. Now, when you're talking about the hairline, we're talking about the line where the hair starts on your forehead. Obviously, we've already covered forehead. It's this. So a hairdresser once told me I have a good hairline. It's nice and strong. Oh, I tell you what I didn't put on the list. A receding hairline. So some people suffer with a receding hairline, particularly men, because testosterone in your hormones in your body make you have hair loss more predominantly than women. And a receding hairline is where the hair starts to fall out and gets thinner and thinner so that your hairline looks more like this. Or some people have a really receding hairline. Yeah? So the hairline is the line on your head, and a receding hairline is one that's going back and back and back. It's receding, it's going backwards. Okay, I hope that's clear. Do you use the term a widow's peak? Yes, I've heard of that. Is that when you have a bald patch in the middle? I haven't put it on the list, but that's an important one. I'm sure I've heard it quite a few times. So a widow's peak, I think, is when you're bald here, but you still have hair everywhere else. Just check that for me. Or a widow's peak hairline. Okay, I really want to Google that now. But widow's peak, yes, you should definitely have a look at that one. Let me just put receding in brackets on these notes, because that is something you will hear a lot. Lots of men complain about having a receding, and I've spelled that wrong. I think it's double C. Oh no. It's single E. Okay. Receding hairline. Okay. So let's go back to those notes, shall we? So that's receding hairline. That's how it's spelled. Some people talk about their fringe. Now, the fringe, quite simply, is the hair that covers the forehead. So some people have their hair cut specifically so it sits forward and covers up part or all of their forehead. Some people have fringes that are so long you can't see their eyes, because a fringe would come like down like that. Not like that, but you know what I mean. A hair that comes all the way down and they have a fringe. I used to have a fringe when I was younger, but I like my forehead, so I decided not to cover it up. Okay, next on the list is the parting. Now, the parting is the split of the hair on the top of the head. So when your hair goes in different directions, the split line, I've messed mine up now. The split line is your parting. So normally when a hairdresser washes your hair and they're looking to do a style or a cut, they will ask you, that's my parting, they will ask you, where do you have your parting? Some people have a centre parting, so they part it right down the middle. Some people will have a side parting, so the hairdresser will ask, which side do you have your parting on? And sometimes you might have it a really far over, maybe not that far, but they'll check with you where you like it before they cut your hair. And that's specifically for people who have quite long hair, I imagine. Okay, so let me have a quick look at what my patrons are saying, because there's lots going on in the patron chat room. That hairstyle was good when you did while explaining your forehead. Thank you very much. I won't be having it like that very often. Is the live session over? No, I'm here. I don't suffer from it, even though it is happening. Is that the bald patch we talked about? It happens to everyone, and you know, if you are balding or thinning, then don't worry about it. It means that you're full of testosterone, so you're extra manly if you have hair loss problems. A widow's peak, hair growing in the shape of a V on someone's forehead. Ah, okay, thank you, Patricia. Thank you for that. Aldous, don't worry. Better late than never is what my mum always used to say. So we've talked about the parting. Where do you have your parting? Mine's a slight side parting to the right. Next, you might need to know, especially men, about your sideburns. Sideburns are where the hair comes down in front of your ears. So gentlemen, when you have a haircut, or if you go to the barbers, they will need to know how you like your sideburns. Do you like them short and cut up? Do you like them styled? Some people have huge sideburns, don't they? If you have huge sideburns, there's a name for that. It's like chops or something, like pork chops or something. Oh, if there's any men watching who know what the term is when you have huge sideburns, please let me know. So besides sideburns, we'll talk about the beard, which is hair that grows on your chin and on your lower cheeks. And we'll talk about the moustache. Now, in the UK, we have two ways of pronouncing this. In some cases, there are even more ways, depending on the region. But generally, people either say moustache or moustache. Moustache or moustache. So choose which way you prefer to say it. Okay. Let's have a look at those notes before I move on, so you can just see how everything is spelt. So the fringe, the parting, the sideburns, the beard, and the moustache. Sometimes a small beard, if it's a very thin beard and one that goes around into a very thin moustache, it's called a goatee. A goatee. And also, if the beard has been cut short, but you can still see a little bit of hair, that's called stubble. Stubble. Gosh, when I was writing these notes, I was shocked at how much vocabulary there was. And even now, while we're going through it, I'm realising there's even more vocabulary than the stuff I've written down. Mutton chops. Thank you, Midhat, for looking that up, or you obviously knew it maybe. But mutton chops is the name for someone who has big sideburns. They've got mutton chops. So funny. Okay, so let's have a look. What's next? Equipment. So what equipment does a hairdresser use? Some of this you might know. So I'll move through this quite quickly. But some of this you may not know. So A hairdryer. I'm sure most of you have come across a hairdryer. Normally when you're booking a hotel, if you have long hair, you might have a look on their website to see if they have a hairdryer in the room. A hairdryer is for drying wet hair. Then you have scissors, of course, and scissors are for cutting the hair by hand. I'm sure we all know what a pair of scissors look like. Then we have clippers. Now, clippers are electric hair cutters. In fact, I have a pair of clippers here. Just bear with me. Yes, I've got them right here. I'm just going to show you. Let me find my face. There's my face. These are clippers. These are clippers. They're lots of teeny tiny little cutting teeth. It's electric, you charge it. I don't use this. These are generally only used by men or women who have very, very short hair. Okay, and obviously scissors. I better not get too close to my head with those. So scissors and clippers. Now clippers, like I said, are used for very short hair. But then you have trimmers. Now, trimmers are also electric hair cutters, and they're designed to get even closer to the skin. So it's for an even more precise cut. And they're often actually used for shaping your beard, or for doing your sideburns, or for doing the edges, maybe around the nape of the neck. Okay. So, what comes next? A razor. I'm sure most of you know a razor, probably have one in your bathroom. A razor is a blade used to cut the hair as close to the skin as possible. Razors are used by barbers, so you won't find a razor, I don't think, in a hairdresser's, but you will find one in a barber's. Then we have straighteners. And I think it's obvious what straighteners do. They straighten hair using heat. So it's like an iron for the hair. In some countries, they call them hair irons, or straightening irons, I think. I have heard that term here, but it might be more of an American term. We generally say straighteners. Then we have curling tongs. Curling tongs curl your hair. So I have a set of straighteners, funnily enough. And I do have 2 sets of curling tongs to give me different types of curls. Of course, you might need a hairbrush. I have 2 hairbrushes because I have lots of hair and they do slightly different things, but generally a hairbrush will be used to smooth the hair. Gentlemen, probably most of you have a comb, I imagine. Now, important note, comb, the B is not pronounced. It's a silent B. I hear this B pronounced all the time. So please try to remember silent B at the end. Comb. And a comb is a strip of plastic or metal or wood with a row of narrow teeth used for untangling or arranging the hair. So it's like a very thin brush. And hairdressers normally use it because they have to be very accurate. Okay, and then of course we have products that help to keep the hair in place, like you'll have hair gel, hair mousse, hair wax, or hair spray. And they all have slightly different textures and are used on different hair types and different hairstyles. I think in my kitchen, in my bathroom, I have a bottle of hairspray, and I probably have some hair gel somewhere. Which I wouldn't normally use hair gel when I'm doing my hair in a nice way, but when I was working as a singer-dancer on the big ships, I used to have to gel my hair back into position, into a style so that it wouldn't move when I was dancing, so I had to use gel to make sure it didn't move. Okay, what do you have in your bathroom? What do you use? Let me have a look. I love the live lessons because I can be improving my listening a lot, says Fernando. I'm glad you do enjoy it. And while we've just stopped for a moment, if you are enjoying it, please show your appreciation by giving it a thumb. YouTube is making it very difficult for videos to be discovered. So the only way these videos rank and can be discovered by other people is by you guys, by you watching commenting, giving thumbs, and of course sharing. So anything you can do to help me to boost these lessons a little bit would be greatly appreciated. Okay, a quick jump to the patrons and then back to the notes. Patrons say, Remy, Anna, how to use comb in a sentence? How is it pronounced while using it in various tenses? Oh, okay, so if you are using a comb, then you are combing your hair. So you could say, I need to comb my hair. Especially after this lesson is finished, I'll need to. Or if you're talking about in past tense, you could say, I combed my hair this morning. I combed my hair this morning. If I'm going to ask you, I'll say, could you comb my hair, please? Okay, does that help? Hopefully. All right, let's jump back over. So, back to those notes. Here we go. What to ask for. So, asking for something in the hairdressers is the same as asking for anything. You start your sentence with I would like or I want, and then you simply need to know what it is you want. It helps to do some research and to take in a few photos, maybe a screenshot on your phone. So take in a few photos to show the stylist what you want so they have a clear idea. In most cases, you will want one or a combination of the following services. So you might want a cut of some sort. You might need colour on your hair. Or maybe you want it styled in a certain way or restyled, which is a complete change of style. So let's have a look at these services in a little bit more detail. Okay, so, all right. So with these hairstyles, I will tell you generally who the styles are used on, boys or girls, men or women, but any of the styles can be used on either sex because obviously some men have long hair and some women have very short hair. So they can be used on either sex, but I will tell you in general what the girls would have or what the boys would have. Okay, so let's jump back to them. So a bob. A bob is a classic short hairstyle where it's cut above the shoulders in a blunt cut with typically no layers, so it's all the same length. This style was most common among women. So a bob, if you can imagine it, it's where the hair is like up to here and it's the same length all the way around. So it's quite a strong haircut and it's exactly the same all the way around. There's no layers or change of volume. It's just straight cut. Okay? I've got quite a few wigs actually, and one of my wigs is a bob and I do quite like it. What do you think? Do you think I suit a bob? My boyfriend would go mental if I cut my hair short these days. He loves my long hair. So I'm not allowed to have a bob. Okay, so other than a bob, you're very likely going to ask for just a trim. Now, a man or a woman could ask for a trim. I always go and have a trim every few months. And a trim is just when you cut a little hair off the bottom to reduce the length. So if your hair has grown quite a little bit and the ends are becoming tangled and knotty, and you might have split ends where the hair breaks and splits at the ends, you might want to just tidy it up with a little trim. So remember that one. Now, we heard the word layers here. If your hair is layered, then it means there's many different lengths cut into the hair, and this gives it shape and volume. So I've had layers sometimes. So a layer would be where they take the hair, obviously it's this long, but then they might cut this bit. I've got a few little layers. They cut these bits shorter and they cut these bits shorter. So the hair has more shape and it doesn't just fall into a block. Does that make sense? I would say that most women would ask for their hair to be layered. I'm guessing men can have layers too if they have long hair. But typically layers are for long hair. Okay, feathered. If you have your hair feathered, it means it's fine layers. Now, I usually have my hair feathered around the front. So it's not big, heavy, chunky layers that are like doorsteps going down. But normally at the front of my head, you might see it, I ask them to, this side is better, I ask them to feather it at the front. So you can see how my hair gets shorter around my face. Getting all messy. My hair gets shorter around the face and it kind of curls in the cut. And that's a feather cut. It's very fine layers. So you can't see where one stops and when the next one starts. It's just a fine, gradual change in length. I hope I'm not boring you. Okay, so what do we have next? Short back and sides. Now, this is something you would ask for if you want to have your hair longer on the top, but then short around the back and the sides. So normally a man or a lady with very short hair would ask for a short back and sides. Now you might have your hair cut with a pair of clippers. And if you do, and you don't have any changes, it's just the same all over, then you could just say, can I have a number 2 all over? And this means that you know the length of the grade of the clipper guard. Let me see if I can explain this a little bit better to you. Let me just bring my face back up. Hello. So on the clippers, if I cut my hair with this now, I would be bald. It would take all my hair off because there's nothing giving length between this and my head if I was to go in. So normally, there aren't any here, but normally there are guards that just take this away from the skin a little more. So you have more length to the hair. And you'll have guard 1, guard 2, guard 3, guard 4, guard 5. And it makes the hair longer when you cut it, depending on the number you choose. A number 1 is short, a number 4 is longer. So you might know already I always have a number 3 all over. So men, that's for you. Or ladies, you might decide to have short hair all over, that's fine too. An undercut. Now an undercut is where your hair, and quite a lot of ladies in London have this actually, your hair is long on the top and then at the sides it might be used, you might use clippers to shave it. So some ladies will have long hair, but then when they flick the hair over, they've got a shaved head. It's quite cool. It's quite funky. I've always been quite tempted to have an undercut, but I think it's quite a bold haircut, and I'm a bit of a wimp, really. I'm a bit scared to have it done. But also, a lot of men will have it where they have very short here and then longer, maybe a little floppier bit of hair at the top that might cover it up if they need to. Okay, so that's an undercut. Now, men, when you're going to the barber or the hairdressers, you will probably talk to them about a fade. And a fade is where you take short hair and you make it a gradually different length. So you might start with a number 1 at the very bottom, very, very short. And then as you move up to the top of your head, it might become a number 4. So you'll talk about a fade. Say, I'd like to fade my hair. Okay. Some of you might opt to have a completely shaved head. And that's when you take all the hair off completely. It's a very extreme haircut. All right, if you generally have it short all over, it's called a buzz cut. So, you know, I said if you have a number 1 all over or a number 2 all over, it's a buzz cut. If you want a little bit more length on the top, but still it's quite short all over, then it's called a crew cut. This is a fun one. Some of you might have heard of a mohawk. Now, a mohawk is where your hair is long on the top of your head and it's styled straight up and it's held in place with holding product. So mohawks are quite generally punks or punk rockers would have mohawks, you know, where the hair literally just goes up and it's usually quite thin. It looks like, what do you call it when you've got like dinosaurs that have those like big things. I don't know how to call them. But yeah, it's quite animal-like. Very spiky. Sometimes they make them like spikes as well. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Too cool for me though. How would I describe President Trump's hairstyle? We'll come back to that. I think, doesn't he wear a toupee? A toupee is like a partial wig I'm sure he wears a bit of a toupee. But anyway, he does have a certain style that we'll cover in a minute. And we'll come to that. Okay, so colours. So that was haircuts, the types of cuts you might ask for. But if you're going to have your hair coloured, then usually colours are referred to as having your hair dyed. So we talk about hair dye. That's the product we use, hair dye. And if you're having your hair coloured, you can either say, I'd like my hair coloured, or I'm going to get my hair dyed. Okay? You'll be asked whether you want a permanent colour or a semi-permanent colour. I think it's quite clear what they mean. A permanent colour uses a very strong chemicals and you can't wash it out. It does fade, but it doesn't wash out. A semi-permanent will only last for a certain amount of time. Eventually it washes out and needs to be renewed. So I have my hair coloured. That's why I go to the hairdressers on a Tuesday, because it's 50% off colour. Colour is very expensive. It costs over £100. So I go and have 50% off. I get my hair dyed. And I tend to have semi-permanent because it's less harsh on the hair. It doesn't make your hair too dry and brittle. Because I like my hair. I don't want my hair to fall out. How do you usually pay for haircuts in the UK? You pay with cash or card normally, but they are, you do generally, for me, going to the hairdressers is a treat. And the reason I go to the hairdressers now regularly, where I never used to, is because I'm always on camera and I can see my grey hairs coming through and I can see my colour fading at the roots, and I feel under pressure to look good on camera, especially because I'm an older YouTuber. So I see myself as needing to look after my image, so I go to the hairdressers. In the old days, I used to dye my hair myself, but it was messy. It was very messy. I would dye my forehead, I would dye my ears, I'd have black ears, I'd have black on my face, I'd have a black neck. It was a mess. It was very messy. So now I'd have it done at the hairdressers. What is your natural colour? I was born with black hair, but as I've gotten older, it gets lighter and lighter. So it's kind of like a very dull brown, just not much colour in there at all, really. Lots of people saying, oh no, maybe it's just one person, Moby, and saying, marry me, marry me. Thank you. But I think my boyfriend would be upset if I married someone else. Ooh. So let's carry on. Okay, so an all-over colour. An all-over colour colours all your hair. But there are other options. You can have strips of hair coloured instead. And these are called highlights. Now, you will sometimes hear highlights and lowlights. And highlights mean to lighten the hair. So if I had highlights, I would probably have red or brown or maybe blonde streaks of hair in my hair. Or lowlights. So someone who has lighter hair would have lowlights, and lowlights is where you darken the hair. So if I had blonde hair and I decided to have streaks of brown in my hair, or blue or red, then I would be having lowlights. In order to add highlights or lowlights, the stylist will use foils or a cap. Now, foils is literally tin foil. You use it in cooking. Tin foil, they'll take a strand of hair, they'll paint it with the dye, and they wrap it in tin foil, and you have a head full of foils. And then you wait until the colour has developed and they wash it off. Or they have a cap. Now, they wouldn't use a cap with long hair like mine, but a cap is a big rubber cap. They pull it onto your head and they get like a knitting needle and they pull strands of hair through this rubber cap, and then they just paint all the bits that are hanging out of the cap. You look like a doll. You know the dolls that have massive hair loss? Half their hair has come out and they've just got these little strands of hair left on their head. That's what it looks like when you have a cap to do highlights. Now, the horror story, when I had my worst hairdressing visit, I used to be a hair model when I was younger. I used to have my photograph taken. I used to be in hair shows. They loved my beautiful long hair. And then one day I went to the hairdressers and I said, I want hair highlights, but look after my hair. And they put my long hair, which was down to my bottom, it was much longer than this, they put it through a cap, which they shouldn't have done. And then they put the bleach on. Now, bleach makes your hair blonde. It makes it lighter. So they put the bleach on. And then they put more on. And they put more on. And they left me for a very long time. And by the time they washed it off, they pulled the cap away. And all the hair that was through the cap fell out. So I was left with lots of bits of blonde, short, spiky hair sticking out all over my head. Completely ruined my hair modelling career. And I never hair modelled after that. And it took a long time to get my hair back to normal. So that was my horror story. I'd love to, if you have a horror story, please share. Please do share. Okay, so let me see if you guys are all right. And then I will move on to styles, hairstyles. So Rami, yes, the B is silent. In every way, use the word comb. You forgot to mention the pixie cut. The pixie cut. Patricia, there are so many. When it comes to women's haircuts, there are so many cuts. It would be impossible for me to tell them all during this session. Like I said, I think it's better always to, if you have a certain style in mind, to take pictures from celebrities or whatever and take it to the hairdresser and say, this is what I want. Oh, Andreas needs to leave. That's sad. Okay, let's have a look what you guys are saying over in my YouTube chat room. So you almost had a bald. So you almost went bald, says Mask. Yes, I was almost bald. I still had lots of dark hair, but it was a real mess. Could you suggest any anti-hair loss medicine, please? Do you know, I don't think any of it really works. There are lots of shampoos and there are lots of people who say they can prevent hair loss, but I think they are just money spinners. I don't think they're actually going to work. I think they're just trying to get your money by preying on your weaknesses. I think embrace hair loss. Just embrace it. Also, if you are desperate to get your hair back, you can have hair transplants. Wayne Rooney, the footballer Wayne Rooney, has had hair transplants quite successfully. I think it's probably quite expensive, but yeah, I don't think you should waste money on medicines or shampoos which promise to bring your hair back. I think it's absolute rubbish. Don't waste your money. Hello, Tony Ox. So, hi. I don't have hair in the middle. Just embrace it. Hair loss is, it's a part of life. It's a part of life. Right, let's get on to these hairstyles. Let's have a look. So let me bring these notes back up. So a style. So you might decide to get your hair permed. So a perm is where they make straight hair curly. I've had a perm. I've had probably 3 perms in my life. I really like having curly hair, but having a perm is quite damaging for your hair, so I don't do it anymore. But yes, a perm makes your hair permanently curly, although after a little time it does end up falling out. Or if you have straight curly hair already, you might go to the hairdressers to have your hair straightened or relaxed. If your hair is straightened, then it's possibly done with straightening iron, so it will only last until you wash it. But to have your hair relaxed, I think they use a chemical that takes the curls out. I don't know because I've never had that done, but those are options for straightening your hair. Very common service. Most people will have a wash and a blow dry. So you might go in for a haircut, and they'll say, do you want to wash and blow dry? And that's what I have. I go in, I have my hair washed, I have my hair coloured, and I have my hair blow dried so it looks nice, and I can come and film some nice lessons for you with my hair all lovely. A braid. So a braid is like a plait in the hair. And just for those of you who don't know a braid or a plait, it's where you take the hair, and there's different styles of plaits as well, or braids, but usually you get 3 sections and you intertwine them like this until you have a braid or a plait. Now you might have one big braid all the way down. So you'll notice I sometimes have the halo braid, which is where the braid comes all the way across the front. I do that quite often. A French plait or a French pleat. No, a French pleat is different, I think. A French plait or braid is where the plait is stuck to your head and it goes all the way down. Sometimes you have two plaits like this. And some people have lots of braids, don't they? They have lots of very thin braids. I did when I was younger. I had loads all over. Then we come on to the style of cornrows. Now, cornrows is where you have braids and plaits that start on your head. They go backwards and then they're loose at the bottom, all plaited. And so all your hair is really stuck to your head in braids, in a pattern, so you can see the lines of braids, and then it's braided down the front. It's so cool. I think that's what I was trying to get when I was younger at school. But I did it wrong. I just plaited my hair into lots and lots of plaits, and it just looked crazy. Lots of girls these days go for extensions, and extensions are where you add artificial or sometimes human hair, but not your own, and you attach it to your natural hair in strands, so it can make your hair look longer, or you might decide to add like bits of curly hair in maybe, or it might just make your hair fuller, so you have more volume and lots more hair, which can look very, very glamorous. I've never had extensions. Oh, no, I tell a lie. I once was doing the show Roger Rabbit, and I was playing Jessica Rabbit, and Jessica Rabbit has lots of beautiful big red curly hair. And for me, they gave me a wig, and then into the wig they put lots of extensions as well. So I had this big wig, a big heavy wig full of beautiful glamorous red curly hair. I loved it. I felt so glam. I even nearly dyed my hair red after that. So I loved it so much. Then you might hear of a weave, and a weave is where artificial hair is put into your hair, but it's braided in rather than with extensions. Extensions are usually glued in or clipped in, but weaves, as far as I know, are braided in. So they'll be tied in basically, or woven into your natural hair. If I'm wrong on that, because I don't know much about weaves, please tell me if I am wrong. I don't think I am, but if I am, then feel free to correct me. You might hear people talking about a quiff. Now, quiffs are very much the style again these days, and it means you've got lots of volume in the front part of the hair. Let me show you. So mostly men have quiffs rather than women, but if you've got short hair but it's very long at the front and you kind of have it up quite high, like Elvis had a quiff. Yes, it's like having big volume at the front. You're like, yeah. Okay, so that's a quiff. Do you have a quiff? And I love that word, quiff. Quiff. It's just so much fun. Okay, we're nearly there. So, other than a quiff, we come to Donald Trump's hairstyle. He has a bit of a comb over. A comb over. Now, a comb over doesn't always refer to Donald Trump's style hair, but it's basically where the hair is swept over to one side. Lots of guys will have a comb over style, so it's swept over. But if you're an older man and you're losing hair in the middle, perhaps, or you've got a receding hairline where the hairline has moved backwards and you've got bald patches here, you might decide to comb over the hair you have on the side in order to cover up those patches, to hide it. And this is what Donald Trump has. He has this massive comb over, and sometimes when the wind blows, it blows up and you can see how much of a comb over he has. So that's a comb over. Some people have it slicked back. And slicked back is where your hair, you use product and you take all your hair backwards. So you have this kind of, usually it's men have slicked back hair. You use gel to take all the hair back out of your face. Quite cool. Let me take you back to the notes so you can see these words written. Then you might have spiky hair. So short and spiky, sticking up. I think that's quite self-explanatory. Some people have an afro, and an afro is the term used for a mass of very tight curls, and they're so tight that the hair doesn't sit downwards, it stands up or it sticks out around the head. And some people sometimes just refer to this as a fro, but it's an afro. Let me know in the comments box below what kind of hairstyle you have, by the way. Yeah, it'll be interesting to know. Shiny hair. Some people might say at the end of a hairdressing session, they might say, would you like me to put some shine on your hair or some gloss on your hair to make it extra shiny? I think that's quite self-explanatory. The word bald means that you don't have any hair because it's fallen out. A bun. So a bun can be worn by a man or a woman, but you have to have long hair for a bun. And this is where the hair is wrapped into a ball-like shape and fixed, normally at the back of the head. So I will show you very quickly a bun. You get all the hair together. Sometimes you use half of it and you make a ball and then you fix it into position. You can have a messy bun or a neat bun, but that, ladies and gentlemen, is a bun. And some men have it, some women have it, a bun. Some men will have, and women, I don't know why I just said men, some men or women will have a top knot. A top knot is very similar to a bun. It's just done up on the top of your head. Okay? I think samurais used to have top knots, don't they? Did they? Do they? My stomach is grumbling. I hope you can't hear that. Famous people from the 60s, or people like Amy Winehouse, were famous for their beehive hairdo. A beehive, really only worn by women, is when they made their hair the shape of a beehive. It was huge, like a quiff, but done in a different way, by like backcombing their hair and making it really messy and tangled so that it would stay up like that and it would look like a beehive, and that's why it's called a beehive. Crazy hairdo. Some people have wavy hair. A wavy hair is halfway between straight and curly, so it's not full curls, it's not straight, it's kind of wavy. I obviously have long, straight, dark hair, but some people might have short wavy hair, shoulder length wavy hair. Okay, so we're wavy. Some people will talk about bunches or pigtails, and this is where the hair is tied up on each side of your head. Or when it's tied up all at the back, it's called a ponytail. I normally have a ponytail when I go to the gym, get all my hair out of my face. And then some of you have mentioned already dreadlocks. Dreadlocks are very stylized. We sometimes refer to them as dreads or locks, and they're created by matting or braiding strands of the hair. And I don't think you ever brush dreadlocks out. I believe you cut them because they stay matted forever, right? And then you just have to cut them off if you don't want them anymore. What about disheveled hair, says Andrew. If you're talking about disheveled hair, you just mean messy hair. If your hair's like, oh, my hair's all disheveled, it's messy. Okay. All right. So I believe, let me just show you a ponytail. If you weren't sure, that's a ponytail. Pigtails, lots of children, little girls will have pigtails. And it's when the hair is... Britney Spears had pigtails when she did her "Ooh, I Did It Again." That song. She had pigtails, dressed as a schoolgirl. Or they could be called bunches. So my darlings, the lesson has come to an end. So please now just take the opportunity to ask me any questions about hair and I'll try and answer them in the next 5 minutes. If you were here for the first time or you're here, like you've been here before but you're not a subscriber, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button. Now when you hit that bell notification button, it will make sure that my videos are shown to you or that you're told when I'm live, which I hope that you do want to join me again in future. So do make sure you do both of those, and don't forget to give me a like. That would be really, really helpful. Let me have a look what my patrons are saying. Oh, okay. Didn't I sue them? No, so the hairdressers who ruined my hair, I decided, they offered lots of free treatments, so I decided to take the free treatments for about 12 months to make my hair better. I have to leave for a rare evening out. Oh, Eva, have a lovely evening. You're probably already gone. Elon Musk had some form of hair implant done. Okay, we'd say hair implants because it would be lots of little hairs are implanted. So we'd always talk about hair implants with the plural S on implants. I didn't know that though. Red hair is very high maintenance. I love it, but it's not easy to keep that rich red colour you get right after dyeing it. I think it's the same with all colours though. I think colour, I guess especially for red, but I think colour is very difficult to maintain. Okay, so let me have a look at your questions. Is dreadlocks the same as Rastafarian hair? Yes, lots of Rastafarians have dreadlocks. It's kind of part of their culture, I believe. Javert says, I just want to say I love you. Thank you so much. That's very kind. Ariana Grande has a ponytail. So you'd say a ponytail, not has ponytail. You have to say a. It's a noun. She has a ponytail. Great. Oh, I just lost that one. What do you call hair like a horse? If your hair is like a horse, then you would say you have thick or coarse hair. So you can remember it. Horse, like coarse. So if something's coarse, it means it's thick and it's not very smooth. So if you have very thick, coarse hair, then your hair is probably like a horse's hair. What is bang? Bang is not something I'd ever associate with hair, but there's lots of different things bang can be. It could be a motion to bang something, to hit something. It could be a sound. Oh, sorry, that's a bang, to make a loud a loud noise, a loud short sound. Anna, you're beautiful with nice long black hair. Ah, thank you. I love you and I love your videos. Thank you so much. That's very kind. This is Daniel Pedro. A million thanks for teaching me new vocabulary. Thank you. Now, something I want to point out, vocabulary is a singular. Vocabulary covers plural. It's singular and plural, so it covers everything. So never say vocabularies, just say vocabulary. Thank you for teaching me new vocabulary. And a wonderful lesson. So I'd like to know if in words like false, already, all right, also, how we pronounce the L, like a dark L. I'm not going to go into pronunciation now, but you have to hit the L. False, already, all right, also. Yeah, you don't want to go too dark with them, but you do have to hit them with the tongue tip, okay? You promised to answer my question on Patreon. Yes, I am a very, 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 very busy person, which is why I'm teaching today on a Saturday, which should be my day off, but I've worked all day. I always answer all the messages on Patreon. So if you are a patron, thank you so much. I will respond to messages. I just don't go on there every single day because I have 1,000 things to do. I don't think people believe how much work running 4 YouTube channels actually is, but it's a lot of work. So forgive my tardiness, but I will respond to you. Okay, a couple more questions and then I'm going to go. Blonde girl bleached her hair or highlighted it. It depends. Some people are natural blondes, some people bleach their hair, some people are quite fair haired anyway, but they might put in a few highlights to make it seem a little more blonde. And any more questions that I can quickly pick up? I'm sorry if I've missed your question, guys. So many of your messages are coming through. I will catch up with the messages after I go off live. Patrons, I'll stay on the patron Skype room for a little while as well. Guys, don't forget about that italki offer. It won't be there forever. So if you are interested in getting those extra $10 free credit, which is basically like a free lesson after you've bought your first lesson, then do take advantage by hitting the link in the description box below. Otherwise, I'm going to say goodbye. So lots of love from London. Take care. Oh no, my computer has frozen, so maybe I can't leave you. Okay, no, it's not frozen. I've got it now. I've got it. All right. Thank you for joining me. Take care. Lots of love from London, and goodbye.